Why are you explaining me so closely?
Because this is what happens when you're in your young 30s. It happens to every man. I don't know if it happens to every female. I'm not a female, but I think there's something about, there's something inside us that says by this date in our lives, we should have accomplished something magnificent or something worth looking back at and going, wow, look what I did.
Right.
And it's just not the case. What do you think about Senor Verde?
Who? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Everything I Know podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Whitley, here with the man who knows everything in the kitchen sink, Senor Verde.
That's a great intro. Good job. You've been practicing.
No.
haven't said that once since the last episode.
Absolutely. So,
Therapy ball. So if I lean back in the chair.
Oh, one of those.
I'm like, take a little break. You'll know what's going on.
You're going to a Rosti.
I don't even know what that means, but
I bet that's what the brand recognition is for.
Don't know.
Oh.
I just know I received this yesterday because I was in excruciating pain. So
yeah,
I'm kind of playing handball at the office today. But I'll just sit it there for now.
All right.
Not going to be a crutch.
Is it still your back from your... Hang on.
You're going to have to go out of the room with that.
What's her name? What's her name, Hunter?
We got HH back here in the background making business calls. Like, it's all good, though.
It's called hustle.
He's hustling. We're trying to record. He's hustling.
My biceps looking pretty big today.
Those biceps are huge.
Thanks.
I saw your workout this morning.
It was pretty good. I finally got motivated to work out. All right, so we haven't been here for like a week or two.
Yeah, feels like it.
So it's good to be back.
I'm excited.
I am too. The only thing I'm not excited about is probably the topic we're going to get into and the vulnerability that I'm about to bring to the table.
Uh-oh.
I don't want to do anything. I am complacent. Everything that I'm passionate about, everything that fire is lit, it's like you're sitting around on this big bonfire, but no one's around to take in the bonfire. Passion's burning,
man.
But I don't want to do anything.
That's a huge bonfire that nobody's enjoying.
Right. Like, you don't even have your marshmallows.
And nobody warming their buns.
And to be honest, I don't even want to light a lighter. That's how I have all these things that I'm passionate about and all these things that I have a lot of wine behind. But I just, frankly, right now, I just want to just do nothing.
So the question I would first pose then is it true passion and true desire to do the things that you're claiming you want to do? Because
absolutely.
I would think that if it is, there would be fire for days. So
yeah, no, it's stuff that I absolutely
computes.
Absolutely stuff that I'm passionate about, and I just don't really feel like doing anything.
So give me a quick rundown. What are you passionate about?
I am passionate about comedy. I'm passionate about screenwriting. I'm passionate about movies. I'm passionate about working out. I am passionate about my girlfriend, which she's not the part I'm complacent about, for the record. But I'm just telling you the rundown of the things that I'm passionate about.
Right.
And, and I want to do something else with my life to gain a side hustle or work on real estate or work on my screenplay. But in the day, I get home at 5 o'clock and I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I don't even want to have to sit there and figure out what I'm going to watch on TV anymore.
We had a conversation about that recently.
Yes. And so
Man.
It's not depression. I'm not depressed.
Mm-hmm. You look happy.
I'm feeling happy.
You're just lazy.
Yeah.
I think that a season of that is probably okay. But a very, very, very short season. So you have got to get a hold of, like, you just gave me like 3 things that you're passionate about, besides the girlfriend and the finding a side hustle. The comedy, the screenwriting, the making movies kind of thing, right? You've just got to do one of those. I wouldn't try to do all 3 of them. I would pick one and start really doing it. Like really doing it, Try to just think through what the motivations are and why you think you're not passionate. Because right now you're demotivated. Mm-hmm. You're motivated to not do. And something is clicked in, maybe it's your energy level. Maybe it's, you don't feel like you have enough money. You're tired of being where you are at. You want, no more deferred gratification. You want some gratification. I don't know if that's a reward system you need to set yourself up on. Like, hey, as soon as I write 18 pages of that screenplay ideal I have, I'm going to Disneyland. to throw a shot out there. But maybe it's I'm not going to go out and do anything. I'm going to be restrictive on this one activity that I really love because I need to write some more comedy skits or sketches or dialogue. And you set that benchmark in the ground, and until you do it, you don't reward yourself,
Yeah.
Maybe you've got to discipline yourself, so to speak, with the things that you like to do outside of those passions that you're still engaging in doing, but you're putting them ahead of making progress on the things that you're passionate about. So that goes back to my question, are you really passionate about those things? Because when I think about passion, maybe we should talk about that for a second.
Well, if we get into what am I, if I'm not passionate about those things, then I'm just passionate about nothing.
Well, and that could be okay too for a season, because I think at where you are in your early 30s, I remember that. It was almost 15 years ago, but it was more than 15 years ago. I remember that angst of, I haven't done anything with my life. I got all these dreams and aspirations. I know I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread, et cetera, but I haven't done shit. And so,
why are you explaining to me so closely?
Because this is what happens when you're in your young 30s. It happens to every man. I don't know if it happens to every female. I'm not a female, but I think there's something there's something inside us that says by this date in our lives, we should have accomplished something magnificent or something worth looking back at and going, wow, look what I did.
Right.
And it's just not the case. I think it really takes many more years, sometimes in some people's case, 20 more years from your early 30s to really accomplish anything worth leaving behind. But I wanted to segue and talk about passion. Just because you like something a whole lot doesn't mean you're passionate about it. Like, there's a difference for me. I am passionate about teaching, about people listening to what I have to say and it bringing value to someone at where they're at in their life. Like, I light up inside. I knew that for decades, but never really had an outlet for it, and wasn't going to go be a public school teacher or anything like that because I didn't think I had the capacity to be in one spot for too long, not because there's anything wrong with that profession, but just because I didn't think I could be in that environment and be beneficial to those around me. But there's no doubt in my mind that in the depth of my core, I have a teaching spirit, a teaching mentality, a come alongside me and let me show you kind of thing. So that's something that I'm passionate about. It's not really something that I want to do all the time because usually it comes in some sort of free exchange, my time for the other person's time, and it's not like, but because it has a value to me, I feel like I'm imparting something into those that will give me their time or that I'm able to talk to. I feel like the value for me is not monetary. It's not what can I get from the other person. It's a fulfillment of a piece of who I am. Mm-hmm. And so that is what I'm passionate about, and that's the joy that I get from it. So it's not a gain of some sort. Doing comedy, if you're passionate about it, then I think you would do it regardless of compensation, regardless of the merit behind it, the pats on the back, the claps from the crowd. You just do it. So what does that look like? Well, maybe there's some people in nursing homes that need a good laugh. Doesn't pay a thing. But if you're passionate about it, I think you would end up doing it, finding outlets to do it. And I'm not questioning your passion about it. I'm defining what I think passion looks like. If you're passionate about screenwriting, I'm going to go through all three of them. I think you sit down and you write and you write and you write because you just can't not write. Mm-hmm. Like you have to. Like it's boiling up inside you and you got to get it out. If you're passionate about making films, I think everywhere you go, there's a camera in your hand. And you're videoing and you're documenting and you're doing those things and you're seeing something and you're getting up early for that sunrise and you're going to that event to do video, to just capture content. So I would just say that that's my definition of passion. It's almost, passion to me is like, I can't breathe if I'm not doing this, And I think once you discover what that looks like for you, then, and you unlock it, then it becomes something that you have to do. And there's other things you're not passionate about, and we'll talk about those in a second, like the gym and dieting and, relationships and stuff. But
I'm passionate about relationship.
I get it, but there's other relationships. Well, I'm talking about I'm not talking about those love relationships. I'm talking about different relationships.
Right.
Mentor, mentee, friend, confidant, brother, son. Those kind of relationships are different from the love games that we play with our significant others. But I wanted to define passion first. So
and there's one quote that I saw last week, and I think it was, "I don't need an alarm clock. My passion wakes me up."
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm ready,
good.
I'm ready for that one.
Who said that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It was a meme, and it was like it was following like on Instagram, which you can follow us on Instagram of everything that I know, or
You can.
SR Verde X.
That's interesting because I think not only would that to continue that quote, just say my passion, I don't need an alarm clock, my passion wakes me up. My passion keeps me up late at night too. Like 2:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I can't go to sleep until I stop. I mean, until my body just stops. I fall out. That to me, that is the definition of passion. So maybe you've had those feelings about these items or these topics and these facets that are so important to you. Maybe you've been there, but you're not there right now. So maybe you're just going through a creative lull, a passionate lull about these things. Maybe they are really a part of your being. I mean, I think that comedy is the number one. I don't know about the other two things because I know comedy's there because you're funny, you're cracking jokes, you're witty, and not just because your name is Whitley, but you're witty. You're quick to engage someone with laughter. I mean, you just pull that out of people. You can't walk into a room, be around you, and not smile. Except for right now, you're not smiling. I'm kind of weirded out, but yeah, it's kind of a creepy smile. Anyway, so I definitely believe that comedy and some sort of lightheartedness spirit about you, your nature, that's most definitely there. That's most definitely probably something you're passionate about. But it's also just a part of your character. So, you're good at it. You've had some success on the amateur level with it. You've got to explore that one. So if you were to ask me which of the three should I go after, I'd go after the one and see where it led you.
Well, I think part of my mood right now is because Saturday I had a show. Friday night I emceed my girlfriend's drill team spring show. So I think it's just kind of like maybe I'm just really tired from all that.
Could be.
And it's
But you said it'd been like this for a few weeks.
yeah, I guess you could say that. I don't know. It's just like, you want something that gets you out of bed in the morning. And it's like, but at the same time, you have responsibilities. You have things you have to do to make a living. It's like, let's say if you didn't have guitars, didn't have this podcast, what's getting you out of bed every day for your day job? For running the business that you run. If that's all you had.
Yeah. Well, again, the teaching side of it, we haven't been doing this for years, and I haven't been doing this for years on camera, but I've been doing this for years inside my organization, inside my relationships outside of work, with family. I've got a lot of nieces and nephews that are older teenagers now and college students now, and so we've been talking to them. There's colleagues and stuff that I've had the ability to speak into their lives. And of course, it's reciprocated with a lot of those individuals. But yeah, I think that if the comedy thing is the most important to you, to me, it's the most important that I see you could cultivate quickly. Like making films, that you got a regular day job.
It's a larger scale.
Well, you're at work 8 hours. Maybe you can make a film about being at work. Just wear a GoPro on your chest all the time, or on your head or something. So I think there's ways to do what you're wanting to do and not use the excuse of, well, I have a day job. You can incorporate things into your day job. And maybe you got to have a real honest conversation with your employer about, hey, I really got to do this. I've been thinking about some creative ways that not only can I kind of adapt my passions to my work, but it might be beneficial to you too. Maybe that organization needs some funny films or some just stuff to play at the Christmas party kind of films.
Yeah.
So, but you're still getting on a small scale to cultivate your craft and play around with it a little bit. And then, hell, maybe you write a screenplay about your job. I mean, that's where The Office started, right?
Yeah. Well, it's one of my screenplays is built off of a former employer.
Yeah.
And it's a comedy. And I feel like
I figured it'd be a comedy.
Yeah, absolutely. And one's an action drama, one's a comedy. But the other is, it's comedy is the passion, but it's where I'm at right now with that next level.
Yeah.
And it's getting to that next level, and it's finding that.
Same thing as any artist craft. You paint until somebody sees your work and you score a big deal. Or you graphic design until somebody sees your graphic and they adopt it and get you to do a logo for their organization. Or you shoot video until somebody catches your stuff on Facebook and says, hey, I know a guy, and you end up being a part of an organization. So it's just all opportunity. The less you do of that, your diminished return every day. You have a diminished return on your craft.
Yeah.
But I think you can work that into your weeknights and your weekends, and you're going to be tired.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you're going to wake up at 43, 10 years from now and be like, oh, I wish I should have. That happens. That's real. That happens to a ton of people. Every day somebody wakes up, it's 10 years has passed just like that. And so the alternative is don't do it, stay where you are, and be unmotivated and just grow old and cold. And someday you'll sit in home and say, I wish I would have done that. And so to me, the motivation of the fragileness of life, fragile, you get one shot. Life's going to be over. It's going to be over before you know it. For some that is cut short, unfortunately. For many, that's cut short. And I wake up every day and I think about what can I do today that, is different from yesterday, and how can I advance the ball closer to the goal line with every little step that I make. But I've been exercising patience for many years, and I've been through a lot of hard stuff that has conditioned me to be patient. Mm-hmm. A lot of hard times, difficult times, that will condition you to be patient, because you're like, well, I've been through that. That wasn't the end of the world. I guess I can go another day, week, month, year. But then you have to plan and execute. That's my error for not knowing good enough about the depth of what you do. Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing it for 10 years. I've been doing free stuff for 10 years. Well, that's why I look at the next thing for that is, because I don't want to just be doing improv. I want to go on a larger level where I'm writing my own screenplay and producing it and acting in it. Jon Favreau, for example, he started out with Swingers with Vince Vaughn, wrote it, acted in it. Now he's doing, he did the first Avengers movie, and that's kind of like a career path that I want, is to be able to write, produce, and act in my own projects. And so it's just a matter of, I have one now that I have a quarter of it done, but I don't know where the ending is, and it's like I've been beating my head around it for so long, trying to figure out how this story is going to end, that I don't have a place to really, it's my plan. If I don't have my plan of where I want to end up, there's no telling where it could go. So it's hard to keep writing if you don't have that ending of where you want it to really be. So I think it's dealing with not necessarily that being an excuse. It's dealing with that obstacle that I've just have gone over and over and over in my head about. That's made me be complacent with it.
That's a tough spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you have other people you can bring in to help you finish the story? Like co-writers or someone to bounce an idea off of? Or
yeah, probably. Absolutely.
If you're stuck, you need someone to get you unstuck.
Right.
I mean, maybe somebody reads and says, oh, well, what if you went this direction? And you got to go back a few steps to rewrite it to get to the ending that they suggest. But that's probably okay. Because if you're stuck and it's never finished, it's never finished.
Right.
50% or 75% or 95% of something is not done.
Right.
But if you bring a co-writer in, I'd rather have a half of a return on that finished product than a zero return on an unfinished. 100% return on an unfinished project.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's just return on investment.
Right.
So 100% of zero is zero. 25% of 100 is 25%. So I think that, that's a much better place to try to get some fresh blood, some fresh eyes, and just get it done. Yeah. And then once that one's done, then maybe you don't. And it's not that you need that. I mean, you can obviously, if you could get past the hump, you could do it yourself. It's not that you need the other party. But sometimes having that, that's collaboration. Mm-hmm. That's the reason that there's partnerships and different things in different arenas of entertainment and stuff like that. Such and such and such and such. Warner Brothers was more than one, person. So I think that maybe to complete that one project, you should probably look at some different set of eyes, ears, and brain power. Bring somebody in, and you probably know some people that would be interested in doing that. Mm-hmm. And maybe that gets it done. If nothing else, it gets it done, and you don't do anything with it. But maybe it gets you on to the next thought process. Is that not being finished bringing you down?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because then I keep going. Okay, it's another year of just sitting here, and I don't have it done.
And so you haven't started another one.
No, I have two.
So you have two, and they're both unfinished.
Right.
Yeah.
One, well, technically, I was brought in to help with this other one, And so it was finished, and then we're going to basically rewrite it to go a different route. And it's more likely to be done sooner than mine. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of having the motivation to want to do that.
Man, you've got to flip that switch for yourself.
I know, because the motivation, the passion's there. You know, I can't go to a single movie without analyzing every single step that they have taken to know exactly what's actually coming next, because I know where the plot points are.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about story. And so I can't go to a movie and walk out of there without going, God, I've got to do this.
So I don't know what goes into that. I write too, and I write like short form nonfiction stuff. Life experience and stuff like that. So it's not like I'm creating a story out of nothing. I have done some stuff with my kids, just being silly at bedtime stories and stuff like that. But that's just little stuff. What's the process that you're looking for? Because I know about a story and how it moves, and you've got some, like a Yoda kind of person that pulls you to the end, that kind of
right.
What's the piece that's missing on the ending part that's holding you back from being able to break through?
I think it's just knowing which route I want the main character to end up.
What are some possible scenarios for that? I mean, dead, hero,
Yeah.
sad, to be continued, kind of walking down a dirt road with
Right.
dust blowing, and oh wait, what happened? That's the end. That sucks, kind of thing.
And one thing I've kind of thought of is maybe I've been telling this story from a standpoint of my own life. And so I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to like go away from that because I'm trying to make it too personal to me versus on where this could go based loosely off of me.
Why don't you? No, that makes total sense. But just finish it as if it were true. Like finish it from where you want to go.
Because it's basically an alternative life to where I am now.
Yeah.
Starting out, I was a band director's son. I worked in a music store that was all for high school bands, for marching bands. It wasn't your rock. It wasn't your Guitar Center, but it was run by a guy who was.
It was Bundy's, and
who was in the '80s. His band lost out to a very popular band, and so he's running this music store. And so my whole life I've lived watching my dad have this amazing legacy where he's impacted so many people by being a band director, and that was a step that I started to go when I was in college, and I decided that wasn't really what I wanted. I was just trying to follow in his footsteps, and I didn't feel passionate about that, and so I got out. But every single football season, halftime is game time.
Right.
I'm like, I could have done this.
He's like, bring this on.
Yeah, I'm like, I could have done this, and so it's loosely based on where my life could have gone, but it's just a matter of the music store being the focal point, or is outside the music store the focal point? Because it could very easily be. I mean, imagine The Office. If it didn't center around The Office, it centered around Michael Scott's life, and that's the battle I'm in. And I'm sure they could have gone either way, but the comedic aspect of it is in The Office.
Yeah, I see that. And you could go a bunch of different ways with that, but just write 3 endings. Finish it 3 different ways.
Right.
So write the one that's the comedy inside the music store that never ends, and write the one where he gets the girl, and write the one where he becomes a rock star, and write the one where he ends up
becoming an accountant.
Well, no, but telling this story in a screenwriting deal, and then it ends up being a movie, and at the end of the movie, it's kind of like, what was that movie? Was it Get Shorty? The one where Travolta ends up being a director at the end of the movie, but he's a gangster in the beginning.
Yeah, Danny DeVito.
I mean, maybe you end up being the movie director at the end, who is the guy telling the story of his life. So I wouldn't get hung up on the exact right ending. I would just write a bunch of endings. Try that. Something.
Yeah.
Because then that'll get you off center.
Right.
And
I guess too, it's where your starting point is, you know where you want to end up, and then the rest is getting to the ending.
Yeah.
And that's what I guess with life too.
Well, you see a lot of alternate endings, sometimes in Hollywood. They're like, oh, here's the one we cut. Look at this. And you're like, oh, that was much better. I think just to get closure, I would advise you to do a bunch of different endings, 1 or 2 or 3 or 10, and just play with that. But at least you can put it to rest and know that you can come back to that one. And with the second one, what's the hang up on the second one? It's not done either.
It's
You
just
said
a
you have two?
matter of just sitting down and doing it and executing, and I'm not executing.
Yeah.
But it's because I feel like if I was really going to do this smart, I would go with the one that's probably more, well, it's a lower budget to produce, and it's a solid story. I think it would be a success on a low budget scale. Well, then I've got a name for myself to really push the one that I've been working on for so long.
That's a tough business to break into.
It is.
You know, and I'm sitting here thinking about those aspirations and all the things that you're defining. And I think in order to go that route that you want to go, I think you're in the wrong place. Like, you're talking about being a screenwriter and writing movies and doing all that kind of stuff, and you're in the middle of Texas.
Well, I mean, to be fair, nowadays it's actually really easy to be anywhere you want to be and do that.
Yeah, it's easy if you're doing it prolifically and you're not stopping and it's 24/7 and you're on every social media. I mean, and you're out there, and maybe somebody sees it and picks it up. But really, it's like what we talked about a few weeks ago. I said, if you want to be a baker, you go stand next to a baker. If you want to own a bakery, you don't like go work at a bank and expect that, oh, one day I'm going to be a baker. And own a bakery. You go immerse yourself in the culture of what you want to do. You go, I mean, in my opinion, you go live with some other screenwriters and you all write all the time. I mean, I think about a couple of artists that are younger that I know of that are doing different things, and they're traveling around and they're doing their thing. And I mean, artists on the music side, not like art. And they're doing writing with this guy and this girl and this guy and this genre and this, and they're just all over the place. You see it on Instagram, you see it all over Twitter. You know, you get the recent rap song with Billy Ray Cyrus and Lil Nas. I mean, that's just, there was different reasons why it happened, but you know, that's just kind of the way things work. And so I think if you're, and maybe you already have a circle of screenwriter friends that you guys just hang out and talk about stuff and ideas, but if you don't, I mean, I think that's where you need to be to do what you want to do. I mean, there's film schools and all kinds of stuff around that craft and that passion. And I think that perhaps the 8 to 5 job or whatever your hours are now that you have, there's probably 8 to 5 jobs in some form around the craft that you want to be working in that you could go get. They're just not here, geographically here, right? Therein lies the problem. Geographically, you can do all the stuff that you want to do on the internet and get it all out there. But sometimes it's just being around. It's like, why do I go to conferences about business and execution and self-improvement and all those kind of things? And we do that about once a year because I want to be around other like-minded people. And I immerse myself in those microcultures for a short time to get a huge injection of motivation, business acumen, thought process, leadership skills, just, you know? And if I was around that all the time, I would probably make leaps and bounds in some of those directions that I want to grow. But I'm not, because I have kids and a wife and a business and all that kind of stuff we got to keep going with. So if I was doing it all over again and I didn't have all those things and geographic location was an issue, I would so immerse myself in some culture, some area that had what I was looking for. Or I would, as frequently as possible, go to those areas. Like Austin would be a great spot. If you could have a vacation at work, just go to Austin for a week. Just take your vacations in Austin and meet every filmmaker and screenwriter in person down there, doing improv comedy, and just create a network of people around you that are doing already what you want to do, and they don't have the 9 to 5. They are living in an apartment with 6 other creative writers, and they are doing film 24/7. And you immerse yourself in that. Even little injections, I think, would help. You know, sometimes, especially when you're in a place where you're demotivated, sometimes a week in a place like that is a great way to push reset. Don't take your vacation to the beach and go drink, you know, drinks with umbrellas for 4 days in Florida because it sounds relaxing. Go throw yourself to the wolves in Austin. Here I am, world. And they'll either be like, wow, you're awesome. Or they'll be like, yeah, you suck. but at least you'll get to like test what that feels like. There is an immense amount of rejection and no and pain down the road you want to go with the screenwriter thing. So saying I'm not motivated and still wanting to do it, I think you've got to find ways to do it to taste the no, the no, right? Because if you just continue to do it geographically from where you are, I think that there's a lot of pain on the backside of that as you age. 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 10 day, 2 weeks, 10 months. It's going to happen. And you're going to continually feel like this. And I think that really for you, with what you're telling me today, again, 30,000 foot view looking down, I think that your vacations should be in places like that, where you can go surround yourself in the culture of creativity, and there's enough population of people that there's 1,000 of you every square mile, not one out of every county. I think the density of that creativity, I think that would do so well for you. You would come back just like, oh man. And I'm not saying like go to a conference, where you are around a bunch of people learning about the technicalities of cameras and angles and lighting and that kind of stuff and how to write this and how to write that. I'm saying the dirt where people live and exist and on the bottom. Because what you'll learn when you do that, and I'm rambling on, but what you will learn when you do that, when you get down and dirty with those people, is that you'll learn which ones suck and which ones are great and where you fit in that scale. Because you'll see things, you go like, God bless it, that's terrible. I can do better than that. And you'll be motivated. You'll be like, wow, I can do better than that. And then you'll see people that are just like, oh my God, how are you that creative? Like, that's the best storyline I've ever heard. And they look at you and go, it's shit. I can't believe I wrote that. And you're like, but that's awesome, because they're just that much further along. And so it'll help kind of gauge where you are in that process and challenge you and motivate the shit out of you to do something. When I go to those conferences about leadership and business and stuff like that, man, I come back on cloud 9, pumped. And sometimes my team will get like, dude, just take a pill. Like, it's the first day back and you're all amped up and we're not changing anything. Just slow down, cowboy. But at the same time, I think for someone that's a creative and that someone has all this passion, that you need kind of an injection of fire to get you back started. I think immersing yourself in a vacation to a place like in Austin or in LA or something but you got to go with the mindset of, I'm not going to chill. I'm going to go to every coffee shop and just walk up and say, hey, I'm this guy. Hey, I'm this guy. And find everybody on Instagram and be like, hey, I'm meeting up today. Anybody want to, and just,
Yeah.
I think that would do.
And I mean, that's stuff that I've done with improv, in Chicago and New York.
Awesome.
Where I've done that before. And
did it help?
It did, and I think I look back on it now and I look when I went to Second City in Chicago almost 10 years ago, I was about ready to move there.
10 years ago.
Yeah. But the thing is, I see the value in what I've done here. Yeah. I've built better contacts in Tyler than I would have if I had gone to Chicago and done that. Higher up people who wouldn't have given me time of day, but because I produced stuff like the East Texas Comedy Festival, I was able to bring in other people who had already gone through and made a name for themselves and know them really well now. So I see value in the last 10 years and the experience that it gave me, but now it's like, okay, let's go. What's next?
Well, what's the next 10 years look like? Finish the story.
Right.
Finish that story of the next 10 years. So you can't, it's great. I'm glad you got all that networking experience. I'm glad you got some street cred from putting on that gig. Maybe you need to do another one. Maybe you need to do 2 every year. Maybe you should do 6. You know what I mean? I'm glad you got that. But you can't ride into the future on the horse of what I did yesterday. You've got to get a new horse, get a new pony, get a new thing. Go, go, go. The people that you met may be out of business in 5 years. They may succumb to some illness. They may find a new industry. That stuff plays out and then it's over. It's like the dust of all the stuff that happened in the past. You've got to get a new program going, get something fresh, get something new. And even if it's just going to and to me, it's not about contacts right now and all the networking and stuff that you just mentioned. To me, you're demotivated. To me, I'm looking at an artist that wants to create, and he's at this demotivation state about the things that he's passionate about. I'm saying just go to get a fresh fire and then come back and then create and, more networking and stuff like that too. That's awesome. I'm just saying in order to get motivated, perhaps what you need is a 3-day weekend or a 1-week vacation to a place where the creatives are everywhere, and you make some new contacts and you get some new networks built up. And you talk about the next comedy fest that you're going to do, and maybe you do one in Rockwall, and then maybe you do one in New Braunfels, and maybe you do another one here. So I just think that I believe that when you are at a place where you are right now, you've got to rely on the new, not the old. Go get some new energy. Go tap into someone else's creativity. Go tap into someone else's event. Just keep going. We say it all the time. Just go. Just start. Just do something. And so my advice to you is to find a way to get motivated. And maybe that's rekindling some of the stuff from the past. Don't get me wrong. I'm not negating the stuff from the past. I'm saying that's old stuff. Let's get some new stuff to combine with that old stuff and really do something and, start a little mushroom activity there. And then, going back to the screenplay, finish it. Reach out to some comedy troupes. Join another one. Don't quit the one that we talked about earlier. I'm not saying that. I'm saying join something new. Start a new one. Start a new one with some 19-year-old kids you met at the coffee shop. Say, hey, I do this. Y'all want to do that too? Surely there's people that come to the show and are like, oh, man, I'd love to do what you do. Teach some of them.
Yeah.
Grab 2 or 3 of those young bucks that don't have a clue and give them your last 10 years. That's all I'm doing with these guys and everybody here on this podcast and everybody in my world. I'm giving them the last 20 years of busting my ass in business and just humanity and just being a man and a father and a husband and all that stuff that goes around that. Just do that with some comedy kids. Drag them in. Your other guys aren't going to get mad. They're not going to get jealous about that. They'll be cool. And maybe that's what you need. Maybe, spread the love a little bit. Something to get you motivated. Go to Austin, go to LA, go back to Chicago, hold another event, get some young what would you call it? Students, proteges? I don't know. Start a little class or something. Something that's right now, I think right now, the normalcy of your day is starting to get to you.
I'm comfortable.
Well, you're comfortable, but there's a normal there, but it's a dissatisfied normal.
Right.
And you've got to do something to flip that normal to some semblance of satisfaction, because I know where you are in your young 30s, and I felt that way too. And I think that in order to meet all the aspirations and all the stuff that you want to do and get to the place where you're going to finish that screenplay, like the story's going to end and you're going to be up here, you don't have a choice but to be motivated. And so you've got to go find 18 different things that'll get you motivated. And some of the ones I mentioned may be way off and not feasible for you, but hopefully something I said is, and you can just tap into it. But if you're continually demotivated and your passions aren't being executed on, you don't have a choice but to find something that's going to inject some fire and some get up and go into your world. And that is outside of everything else. And I do want to say one thing about relationships, because I mentioned that earlier. The relationships I was talking about really were just relationships with your peers, relationships with other men, relationships with other, family members, relationships at work, those types of relationships. But those love relationships that we all have, we as creatives and people who want to go out into the world and change the world changers, whatever you want to call it, we pay a price when we allow someone into our heart and into that quiet place, right? We pay a price for that. The other person does too. But what I'm saying is that when you bring somebody into that place, all of a sudden everything you want to do has a new decision to be made. Well, how does it affect fill in the blank, right? The wife, the girlfriend, the kid, the significant other, everything has to be looked through that lens. And that's a real difficult spot to be when you're somebody that's driven and passionate. And so it's not easy to have a relationship and chase your dreams. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to be in one. It's very difficult to be fruitful. I'm not saying it's not something you should do. I'm just saying it's more difficult. It's another weight on the decisions that you make. And that's a very heavy place to be as a creative. because you want everything over here on this side, but that you want some of this too. And sometimes your passions will grow faster than the significant other that you've aligned yourself with. And this is for everybody. This isn't for you. This is for everybody. And what happens is that person pays a price or the dream pays a price. And it's okay. It's totally fine. You just have to be considerate of the other and always remember that there's another set of eyes, ears, mouth, brain, heart, all in, as you pull it along. So what I'm telling some of the people that are listening that aren't tethered, meaning aligned with someone else, a significant other, you're in the most free state you'll ever be in your life. Chase your dreams and your passions to the 1,000%. Because as soon as you're not in that place, you're giving away a piece. And that's okay. I'm just saying, just know that you're giving away a piece. And every time you add another relationship, meaning another close friend that you want to go to the ball game with, or when you add a child to that, it's just another piece. And so pieces keep getting given away. It just becomes more difficult to chase your dreams. It's not impossible. And sometimes it's not even as fun if you don't have someone along for the ride with you, right? So I get that. I just wanted to be real clear that I'm not anti-relationship. I'm not anti-growing and having those kinds of things. I just want to be clear that it is difficult. And sometimes to be untethered is a whole hell of a lot more free, but it's a lonely place sometimes too. But some people are okay in that state, and it's okay no matter which side of the coin you're on. Whether you're that person that's going to go off and do this thing, or whether you're this person that's got to have, all these people surrounding you, it doesn't matter. Whatever makes you happy and fulfills you and really stretches you and pulls you in the right directions is what you have to focus on. So, and it took me many, many years to come to that conclusion. I spent a lot of years appeasing other people in business and in life. And I'm still taking good care of everybody around me, but I'm chasing my dreams too. And I'm mapping that out, and I'm being as patient as I can with it. And I'm doing a little bit every day, But yeah.
And I think that's where, I'm jealous of where you're at, because you have the finances to be able to take care of your family, feed your kids while you chase your dreams.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I get the most depressed about where I am, is I want to chase my dreams, but I want the security there too to take care of whatever happens in life.
Yeah. You're just not there yet.
Yeah.
And I wasn't for a long time, And there were a lot of dark days, but now I've unlocked what it takes to run an organization, to be successful, to make smart choices, to be disciplined. That's the biggest piece right there. To be disciplined, to make the right choices, and make the right choices consistently enough that those choices pay dividends. And it takes decades. I'm fortunate. I've got in some deals and have done some things, and by all means, there's a lot more to come. But, don't let that piece hold you back, because the comfort, I think some of the comfort comes from chasing your dreams. And I think if you're extremely happy chasing your dreams and living on next to nothing, I think you can be fulfilled. There's all these definitions out there of success, and most of them are broken. And most of them are bullshit, because they rely on looking over there and seeing what that party has, and I'm gauging my success based on that. And that's just a bullshit excuse to I want to. No, find a happy place. I really think find a happy place doing what you love. Find a happy place doing what you love, and all that other stuff fades into the background. The boats, the cars, the houses. It just all loses its luster. It's not even attractive, because you're chasing your passions. Hopefully your passions in some way, shape, or form produce enough sustenance and income, wealth, that you are able to take care of your family at what you would consider well. But then again, what are you considering well? Are you gauging it by what well is over there across the street, down the block, another city? Man, it's so relative. And I just think people need to have really hard conversations with themselves first, and then with their significant others. And then they got to get on the same team with that significant other, if there is one, and with their kids and all that kind of stuff. there are so many people in this world that are happy with a tenth of what we as Americans have, a thousandth. I mean, they're just, we're so rich and we're so overindulged in our society. We have these misconceptions and things about what it looks like. And I just really believe that everybody has to find their own peaceful place of wholeness and well-being and wealth and financial security and whatever that looks like. And, you know, some of that stuff as you get a little older and as you grow will lose its luster. I guarantee it. It will. Especially when you get older and you start thinking about the seconds and minutes and days that are ticking by. That becomes the wealth. I want to live forever. I don't want to die. I want to keep going. And I want everybody around me to be healthy. And when you have a loss, you're like, oh God, it's real. Death's real. It's coming.
Yeah.
And all that stuff's real. And so am I going to chase all this other shit for 20 years or 30 years and then die of the stress I had to put out there to go get it?
Right.
Or am I just going to live and embrace, that hand-holding glass of wine, at the sunset on a county road outside my town? Mm-hmm. Because that moment is just as beautiful as the one on the yacht in the middle of the Caribbean Sea.
Right.
They're both beautiful in their own right. But one is more heavily construed as successful and one is kind of diminished and, they're just poor. No, they're whole.
Right.
Yeah. That's a tough place to be. We really segued on that, but that was good stuff. I felt that was, something I needed to say.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely stuff I need to get off my chest to be vulnerable about.
I appreciate that.
So,
and that's the hardest part. This is a personal vulnerability and it's a public vulnerability.
Right.
But there's other 31, 2, 3, 4-year-olds out there that feel just like you feel today. Absolutely 100%. Probably more than you think. Mm-hmm. Even the ones driving the Beamers and living in the holly trees and the McMansions and all that kind of stuff. Even those guys feel that way. Some of them may not. Mm-hmm. But some of them are. Mm-hmm. And I just want everybody to know that is not the measure. That all that stuff's just stuff. So, wow. I hope I helped you. I want you to get motivated. I want you to go find some of that stuff to inject into your life and finish that screenplay, do some more comedy, start a new troupe, find one. Just go be creative. It's a tough place to be. I know it. I've been there. But you're going to come through on the other side. What else you got today?
I've got nothing.
You got nothing?
No, I'm just...
You're wasted?
I'm wasted. It just completely fried.
It obliterated you?
Yes.
Oh, man, I hate that.
It's okay. I guess I can go favorite Queen song of all time.
Wow. There's so many good ones.
My two.
They fit. Well, tell me yours first. Then I won't be cliche and say yours accidentally.
Who Wants to Live Forever?
Okay.
And The Show Must Go On.
Oh, wow. Both of those. I'm going to have to say Another One Bites the Dust. That particular part of the song anyway. Mm-hmm. Because I remember being in my living room with some of my buddies from the neighborhood, and we would turn the lights down really low, and we would put the 8-track in. If you don't know what that is, Google it. We would put the 8-track in, and we would push the button over to track number, whatever that was.
I'm Googling it. That's before.
And then we would dress up in our army fatigues with little play guns and be like, da, 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 da. Another one bites the dust. And we'd run around the living room shooting each other and, oh, you got me. Because to us, it was a song about let's play war. Yeah, it's crazy. I can still smell the carpet in that house when I close my eyes and think about that living room. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. You know what's great about it? This is 2009. Mm-hmm. Another One Bites the Dust.
Another One Bites the Dust. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Well, I appreciate you doing it.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping that it's not only beneficial to you, but I believe that it's beneficial to others that are where you are and maybe where I am. Maybe I'm challenging other people who are in my position to give away and give their knowledge and their time to somebody that's close to them that needs to, take it a step up and clarify some things. All right. Well, thanks everybody for checking in and following along. We appreciate it and appreciate you being vulnerable today. And
Absolutely. I'm going to go make an appointment with my counselor now.
all right, we'll catch y'all next time. Thanks a bunch.